Hello everyone. The title of today's talk is Wisdom of the Hidden Pillar. And so if you could visualize for a second how the light in our eyes are the pillars of our existence, I want you to consider a hidden pillar. A pillar that is holding the foundation of this reality, but it is beyond the knowing of man. It is hidden. What you will begin to see, if in that moment where you see that huge hall and there's those pillars in the back of the hall, you know, in the shadow of the other pillars, but they're still holding the whole thing strong, you find a certain compassion for all those beings who profoundly existed in their sincerity, their natural. You for a second see that we are this omniscient, intelligent view, and so we have gone to this hidden pillar and we are asking it, we are telling it, dear hidden pillar, tell us what you have seen. And the hidden pillar does not speak for a while, and so we are seeing the silence of the worlds it has lived in. And of course this is a very extreme personification of a hidden pillar architectural design, but you will begin to see the hidden pillar will begin to tell you that its purpose is not to be in the light. Its purpose is to hold the foundation of the existence that it is. And so as we look at this profound teacher that is this metaphor of the hidden pillar, we are learning of the ability and profundity and the great achievement that every being is. But the candle must not be too fixated on the wax, even though the wax is real, as long as the candle is lit. But the candle must search and seek the beautiful imagery, as Rumi has suggested, of the sun. That means imagine that moment where the candlelight is placed beyond the greatest light beams of the sun. And so we begin to see that moment as the candle is raised into the sky, the flame of it and the flame of the sun are one. The illumination is one. Your intention of expression to achieve and be and do what you're here to do has been done. Trust this life, for then not just you will heal yourself, but you will heal your world, for you will see a world that has already been healed. You will see a world that is healthy. You begin to see it is not about the greatest implication of an idea in which we couldn't know, but our children's children could know. It is about how much each generation of a human being, every human being who is alive in the sense of world, is conscious of their experience. We want the quality of experience to be more amplified rather than the quantity of what is in the desire of man to try to become the top of a hierarchy. You must not be overpowered internally. What that means, internally you are free. And to see that it is also more than just a hidden truth. It is how the hidden pillar was also kept by you. There will come moments in the human experience where it will see that its intensification of an individual confrontation that it consciously does not want to do, it will dive and evolve and get a greater urge to amplify and become conscious. What that means is the existential intelligence that is within this evolving human being is aware if it is getting close to extinction, and it will multidimensionally guide itself to a different angle. So what that means is if mankind thinks horizontally the world's about to end, he's just going to begin walking vertically. And so this is an important implication, not the fact that there's a certain geometry at work, even though there is, but it's more about how your communication is the opening to your greatest sense of an intermediary, which then allows you to dissolve into the abstraction, which is not the truth, but the bridge to your absolute experience of causality. A causality that could not be hindered by an effect, a voice that has no echo. But it is present. The voice of your presence is the gift that you are and have always received. Learn from cosmic intelligence. Learn from an intelligence that is not choosing to just be in one applied sense of segmentation based on seeing how free will can make you, put you in a certain condition, but rather see beyond the world of worlds. We are not lost in suspense, because for the longest time I thought I was lost in a mist, but I saw my feet had always found the ground. And so you must trust the to continue. You're not here to just be here. When you come to here, all senses of other dissolve into an unspeakable sense of self. This sense of self is the totality and the complete sphere of your awareness. It is your whole moment of experience, your whole moment of your existential experience. And so as it comes to the intelligence of your moment, you will take your hands out of your pockets and you will know they are, for there was a tear of joy for that moment when the river found its way to the ocean. And so there are many aspects of existential consideration, beautiful works of art here, and all these works of art have suggested a sense of origin of a truth of intelligence, and this sense of origin of truth of an intelligence is coming back to you. It is a huge gift that you are a being who's receiving this whole existence internally, but at the same time within your externality there is phenomena that seems to be appearing out of your unconscious. The intelligence is, of course, of a greater vision, but a vision in which your vision is present in. Some men are inspired when the drop finds the river, which is the state of consciousness the human being is now at its civilization to some degree. But as the drop begins becoming into greater drops and joining into a stream, and as the stream turns into a river, you begin to see Your ability to be with your world is giving your world an ability within your experience to project into its more greater projection. What that means is, just like how when water is heated up, it turns to steam, the existential intelligence changes. What that means experientially, you continue to live on in a sense of a life that never was a life, because it was not in a sense of reality of time and space segmentation. But you begin to also see, you also have an ability to see all projections and considerations of how you were segmented. And of course, the way Mr. Within is communicating this now is that this is the experience of one being right now. I have certain references, I've just lived in a certain way. Every human being has lived in their own way too. And so if we feel we're going to our end, many people feel that there's not a lot of hope for this world, and that's ridiculous, because there's an extreme amount of hope here for this world. And the hope is in the fact that humanity, before any sense of change, will perform its greatest dance. It will show its greatest display. And as it is suggested, mankind will not go gentle in that good night, and he will evolve himself beyond the cocoon of man, in which there was the hollowness and the emptiness of a temporal being. But as that temporal being confronted that emptiness, wings began to become present as the world transitioned. You must sincerely become aware of your individuality, then also become aware of how that individuality is present through a sense of collective intelligence and consciousness. And as this becomes clear to you, you dissolve into the greatest experience, and so you become inspired by many moments, and you see a fractal manner in which life is blissful. Your senses are integratively, consciously being recognized to be all one phenomena, which is now, and so you are guided by the beauty of your moment. For no amount of complexity could bother the simple man, and no amount of simple ignorance could break the complexity of the search for the abstraction of truth. Man is his imagination, in the sense that he never had one, for he is one, he is in one. Just like how you look at that tree in the park, simply you begin to see there is a sense of existential consideration that has kept you. And so Mr. Within is suggesting just be aware of the presence of your moment of being here. And you will become your greatest guidance. You will see, even if you have senses of external guidance and guides, all of these will dissolve into a state of consciousness that is them. What that means, if many believe that the angels came down to guide man up, the beauty in that imagery was that once man was up, there was no need for angels. Angels were there. It was, the task was done. The task was done. Your experience is a totality, undisturbed by a temporal projection of a world in regards to how sensory phenomena is dancing in a self-aware coagulation of infinite possibility. Simply said, look at the stars, and you see all those stars. Now visualize every single one of them suddenly becoming a reality which you are having an experience, and you are a total experience of all forms in your consideration. For the individual consciousness, truth was the dissolution into its collective knowing. And guess what? Devotion, trust, prayers and blessings, love, integration, advancement, all of these are here to suggest into the greater state of consciousness that man shall not just introduce himself to, but he shall introduce his culture and society to. What that means is we are forgetting of the greatest tool which can save the world, mankind. For in his kindness he has worked for not just the greatness of man, but for the greatness of other beings. In many movies I have seen that awesome moment where one human being stands up for another human being. That means one experience of a man is standing up for another projection of reality. And this intelligence is constantly taking you, in the sense that the traveler had the intelligence of who he was. In other words, he's like this guy, all right, I'm this guy climbing a mountain. And at the same time, he was recognizing the intelligence of how he was existing in the uniqueness of how he was positioned to be on this ride. When your moment becomes significance to you, you are no longer trying to cultivate yourself based on words, and so you do not need affirmations, but you in a sense need assurance based on deep existential observance, contemplation, and awareness. You just need to have a very clear gaze. You need to be like, all right, life, just let me have a good look at you, and just take a good look, and at the same time see that you look good. For it is in your approach that the mirror shall show you the face of your bliss, and also the face of any other sense of approach in the hierarchy that man considers. Mr.Within would like to see human communication become advanced communication by being very clearly absorbed. Clarity is becoming a very important task for every human being, and clarity begins with self, and then as you see the beauty and the ability and the potential and the elegance of your nature of being, then you will love your fellow human brethren. You will see that you are united in how you breathe. You are united in design. You're united in intentions of survival and evolution. Look at how many journeys together are found within your moment. For a traveler who was the cosmos, only traveled through, is that it is beyond consideration. And so just like the elegance of the martial artist who very smoothly hit all thoughts, you will see all your thoughts will immediately fade away based on your self-aware ability to immediately see if they're relevant or not. In other words, your trust in life takes your sense of relativity no longer just based on one conscious story. Trust me, even with you think you're one person with one sense of self. You know, to be honest, they're all simultaneously present. There are many planes of considered being here. But it's just that there are also many manners in which you as a present phenomena based on your factors and I don't want to perhaps say karma, but I want to say how you have been active in this in this realm of manifestation. Suggest it is about you looking at how you have been designed, and in your greatest observance of your design, be self-revealed in your most heavenly state of consciousness. You will see that the word of transcendence was a messenger of its own. For when sound was just sound, judgment could not be known. Take that step and become your whole. Much blessings and namaste.